From a highly secure network of top secret locations across North America, this is a Las Vegas edition of the Spurs Insider. I am Mike Finger, joined by Spurs beat writers for the Express News, Jeff McDonald, and making the most hyped Vegas return of the week, Tom Orsborn. The city's abuzz about Tom Orsborn coming back to the Spurs Insider podcast after a few weeks of absence, much like Victor Wembanyama made a lesser celebrated return to the basketball court this week. Tom,
right.
You two formed quite the duo the other night at T-Mobile Arena. What did you think?
Well, my minutes weren't limited, but I had a huge assist from a good teammate in Mike Finger. So,
speaking of assists, we should get out of the way. If the host of this podcast sounds especially charming and delightful today, it's because I neglected to pack my Express News podcast microphone, but we got an assist from good friend of the podcast, man of the people, Michael Wright of ESPN. This is an ESPN microphone, so we're going to sound especially professional on this podcast today. But go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, well, yeah, Wemby. In the land, the dystopian nightmare that is Las Vegas. He had a dream performance with that delayed start, which I thought was really significant, signaling, just how much Mitch is in control of this team. It was kind of a coming out game for Mitch as well. Thought he made all the right moves. But, yeah, Wemby, skipping the first quarter, playing 9 minutes in the fourth, scoring 15 of his 22 points in the fourth. It couldn't have worked out better. I thought it was really neat to see.
This is far from the first time that a player, even a star player, has come back for a big game with the minutes restriction. But Jeff, this was a very Spurs-like approach to it, in that they rethought the whole idea behind 20 minutes. And I think traditionally, you've tried to space out those minutes. If you know you only have 5 per quarter, you're going to play 5 per quarter to get you to 20. Or you're going to play the start of the first, the end of the second. Be sure to save up some minutes late, but spacing them out can be awkward for a player, even if you're trying to save 8 for late. Many teams have tried to save a lot of minutes for late. I thought it was interesting the way they kind of rethought everything and said, hey, let's just have him play something close to a 3-quarter game, a normal 3-quarter game, and have him come off the bench. And like Tom said, that was a Mitch move. I think that was an organizational plan. That was a really well thought out one, as crazy as it looked at during that first quarter, when all of America and all of South Texas was up in arms about what in the world they were thinking. The gamble was that the game gets out of hand while Wemby's off the court. But is that really a gamble when those same Spurs had gone 9-3 without him? It made a lot of sense.
It made sense, but it is a gamble, and not just that you fall in a hole, but each player is different in that situation, like how they want to handle it. I know the Spurs did that with Tim Duncan in his prime back in the day. I think it was a 2010 game in Toronto. I don't remember if Tim was coming off a long layoff or it was just the second night of the back-to-back and they wanted to try something. But they sat him out the whole first quarter and he hated it. He said, we're not doing that ever again. He just couldn't get in a rhythm, coming in cold. He just didn't like it. Vic apparently was able to adapt to it better, and I think that's part of it too. I mean, they talked to Vic about it, like what he didn't make the call, but they consulted is probably the way to put it. How would you feel more comfortable coming in the second quarter and playing the rest of the game normal? Would you rather be there early or late, basically? And it worked out. It worked out for everybody, and you don't know it's going to work out until you do it. So it was a gamble, and it paid off.
You didn't know it would work out until they did it. This sounds ridiculous. It sounds like just podcast click grabby hot take nonsense. But the Spurs knew it was going to work. They walked into that building on Saturday afternoon, and I mean, it almost is like old era playoff games where they knew they were going to win. And this is a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in 6 years and was facing a team that had lost one time all season, had been blowing teams out, not just beating everybody, but blowing teams out, and had won 16 in a row. But when the Spurs walked into the arena on Saturday, they knew they were going to win. And this is something that I had not seen this organization exude in a really long time. And there were members of that traveling party who had been around the organization a long time, who facing a team that had won 16 games in a row, had been the reigning NBA champions, had lost one time all year, were just rolling teams. The Spurs knew they were going to win on Saturday. And I think that for a team to act that way in with that type of swagger, and to know that they had the right plan, and that they knew that the way they were going to deploy Wemby was going to work against that opponent. It's tough to make too much of the NBA Cup because, you know, we all know the only two champions of the NBA Cup were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. So this might not mean everything to everybody. It might not mean that the Spurs are championship contenders. But for this specific team, a team that needs something to feel confident about again, I think it was a huge step for the team, for Victor, for everybody, for Mitch, for everybody in the organization. And they're starting to carry themselves. I sound like I'm going over the top, but I think it really can prove to be meaningful.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, you've convinced me.
And it should
Convinced me after all of that.
we should point out, you know, we've talked a lot about Wemby, and rightfully so, but he had help. Devin Vassell, 23 points, Castle, 22, Fox, 22. The defense played great against the really, you know, the second best offensive points-wise team in the league. They held him to 109 points. They came in averaging 123. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they held him slightly below his average. You know, they made it tough on them defensively throughout the game. So
SGA got his buckets and stretches.
Yeah.
But there's a possession in the final 2 minutes where Stephon Castle just has him in jail.
Yes.
Like he had nowhere to go. And I don't think he ended up missing his shot. I think he finally had to get rid of it.
Right.
But the Oklahoma City did not score on that possession because Stephon Castle just had him in jail. And this isn't to say that Castle locked him down all night.
No.
But to see the way that the Spurs reacted in crunch time of a game that everybody was watching, that both teams really wanted to win, you did not just see encouraging signs from Wemby, who was awesome and spectacular and rose to the moment. Like, it still boggles your mind how he rises to moments. Mm-hmm. But Stephon Castle rose to the occasion. All those guys that Tom mentioned did too. It was a big deal.
Mitch rose to the moment.
He fouled up three times.
Yeah,
something his predecessor and mentor always preached against and never did.
If you guys will indulge me, I'll do this now. But I've been wrong about everything lately, like everything. And it goes back before even the OKC game. It was the Lakers game. What did I say about that game on our last podcast, Mr. Finger? What did I call it? Unwinnable. And I am now 0 for 3 in calling unwinnable games for the Spurs. And I did not call the OKC game unwinnable in public because I'll be honest, I didn't want to break my streak because it was unwinnable. They weren't going to win that game. There was no way they were going to win that game. And sure enough, they did. So I've been wrong about everything lately. I don't know why anyone listens to me. I don't know why I'm on this podcast. But I've whatever I say, just believe the opposite. But really going to that OKC game, I really did feel like, man, that's a tough game for Victor to come back against. A tough team for Victor to come back against. And I was warning people, guys, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to look like you remember Victor, like he's going to be on a minutes restriction. He's going to be out of whack. And I was wrong about everything. And so I just want to cop to that.
I was watching this
right now.
I was watching you do this and sort of agreeing with you, mentally or reasonably. What am I looking for? Cognitively, I understood it, but I was really worried that you were going to look bad because Victor has a long history of every time you think that he cannot live up to something, he almost always does. And he sure did this time. Even Mitch said, in some ways, it could have been the worst case scenario to bring Victor back from an injury, because of what Jeff just said, that everybody was going to be watching, the intensity was going to be up, it was going to be this kind of a circus situation. But because it's Victor Wembanyama, it was the best case scenario to bring him back. And eventually we're going to learn. And maybe it'll be next time.
I think where I'm at now is, it's just time to admit the Spurs have a good team.
Yeah.
Have a good team. Like it says, there's no smoke and mirrors to it. That doesn't mean they're going to go on and compete for titles this year. I'm still going to stick to that. They're not a title contender this year, I don't think. But that stuff before the season where we were like, oh, if they could just get the 9 seed, what a great year. No, that's out the window. That's from this point forward, if it's the 9 seed, it's been a failure.
Tom kind of elbowed me or chuckled yesterday during the Aaron Fox interview when unprompted. He's sort of on the same page as you, Jeff, and he mentioned something that I brought up many times when talking about expectations for this team, which is that teams that miss the playoffs 6 years in a row do not turn around and win titles. And it was sort of I sort of respected De'Aaron for being that honest about it, because it'd be very easy, very cliche just to say, yeah, we're good. Our goal is to win the title now. But I think the players are realistic enough to know, and especially the veteran players, that learning to win in the playoffs is a process, and that they shouldn't come out and say, as Victor pointed out yesterday, nobody is in Oklahoma City's tier yet. You're not ready to say that you're a rival of Oklahoma City, which has been so successful in recent years. I think they understand that just making progress this year, that making the playoffs, winning a series or 2 or 3 would be a good thing. They're not saying they're not going to win the title, but I think they understand what you just said, that there are steps between here and what Oklahoma City is and was last year.
And it was interesting that Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press pointed out to De'Aaron that the last 2 teams that won titles without making the playoffs the year before, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, he said 22 Golden State Warriors and bubble Lakers. And De'Aaron, great student of the game that he is, pointed out, let's not lump
those don't count, basically.
Yeah.
Like the Warriors were the Warriors and the Lakers were the Lakers.
Well, he said the Warriors don't count, and I was thinking same ditto for the Lakers. They brought LeBron James,
yes,
in 5 years ago, although
they're led
high level.
Both of those teams were led by players who had won many titles before.
Yes. Yes.
And the Spurs don't quite have that.
It was a good discussion. Yeah.
It was a good discussion.
I got a question for you guys that were in Vegas. You might have more better insight on this than us people at home. But do you think Victor has a chip on his shoulder about Oklahoma City and specifically Chet? This might get us in trouble, this discussion.
Talk about leading the witness.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask why you think he does, but I'm going to leave the assumption out of it and just say, do you think that they bring something out of him that other teams maybe don't?
Victor Wembanyama, since I first saw and interviewed him here, not far from this hotel in Vegas, when he was a member of the Metropolitans '92 in a showcase against Scoot Henderson, going on dang near 4 years ago, has spoken highly of many opponents, his admiration for guys. And a lot of times it's guys he's looked up to, guys who are in the league before him, young guys who come into the league after him. One guy who I believe he respects immensely, but doesn't I don't think has ever received the same type of praise from him is Chet. And I've long speculated that because they're sort of contemporaries, if that makes sense. Like Victor and Chet had gone up against each other in international competitions as teenagers. And it might just be that when you're around the guy growing up, I don't think it's a personal beef, but I think it is a true, legitimate, I want to go at this guy and I want to prove that I'm better than this guy. And when you're Chet and you're this unicorn that until the world had seen Victor Wembanyama, nobody had seen anybody like Chet to be that tall and that skilled and to do all the fun stuff that we see Victor does. Chet does versions of that. I just think they're almost too close in age and skill level and body type and all that stuff. I think that brings out a lot of healthy competition in them.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely true that they want to beat each other. I don't think it needs to be like some kind of backstory where someone said something to someone that offended him or that they just don't like each other or whatever. I think that's just a healthy, old school type of NBA thing where the guys don't they want to beat each other, and I think it absolutely could be described as a chip on the shoulder. You want to beat the other guy, and I think that's probably true of Chet too. And it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, you look for things to motivate you, and if that works for Wemby, great.
Vic has never told me this or any of us this, I don't think, but he sure does seem to love kicking Chet's butt. Like one-on-one, mono-one. He seems to revel in it to the point where I almost sometimes, this is gonna sound horrible, but I sometimes feel sorry for Chet because like he didn't do anything for Victor just to like turn his ire on him or turn his, make this a rivalry. He didn't do anything, but Vic just loves. I think Chet? People in the media have sort of made them rivals, and I don't know that Vic thinks Chet's in his category, in his tier. I think he kind of gets him a little bit, and he wants to make sure that everyone knows it when they play each other.
That's a big part of it, is that Victor, who has some healthy, charming, lovable arrogance to him, thinks that he's better, and that he doesn't want it, and that he thinks he's better than a lot of guys. But I think you're absolutely right that he wants to prove that it's not Vic and Chet as leaders in the Rookie of the Year race last year, for instance, like that Victor thought he was better than him. And Chet, before you feel sorry for him, Chet in those games last year played pretty well against Victor. And OKC played pretty well against Victor last year. It's not like Victor was just beating up on Chet over and over and over again. Chet's had some good games. And Chet doesn't go overboard in his praise of Victor either. I think it's good. I think it's some tension between good players like that is healthy for the league.
And by the way, Holmgren is a great player. I want to put that out there too. Like, I don't want to act like I'm denigrating him. It's just he's not. I think we've seen it enough. He's not. He's a great player on a great team. He's not in the same as an individual player. He's not in the same category as Victor Wembanyama.
And he's not asked to be by his team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's almost like not fair to pit them against each other.
And they often don't guard each other too. Anyway. Go ahead.
Backing up just a bit, Jeff talked about, the unwinnable Lakers game, and really, that really, I mean, beating Oklahoma City, was tremendous, but that Lakers game too, you just shake your head looking back at that. No Wemby. They're in LA. Lakers are playing pretty good. Doncic won 14 in a row against the Spurs. And Steph Castle, who you can't overlook how well he's been playing, 30 points in that game. So, I mean, this 2-game set's been pretty good for the Spurs. But, going back to that Lakers game, that was impressive too. And Fox is doing what Fox does. chipping in 20 points in that game. They just keep coming at you. Harper, 13 points in that game. I mean, those three guys, Castle, Fox, Harper, the guard trio, they just keep coming at you, and it just wears teams down.
An all-timer of an all-time player, LeBron James, dunk. One of the just most stunning dunks you've ever seen LeBron James pull off, which is saying something because you've seen him pull off some pretty stunning dunks. Immediately followed by an all-time vintage chase down block from LeBron James. Tom is there. Crypto.com arena is in mayhem, just going crazy towards the end of that first half where the Lakers are rallying. And this is just storybook of this 40-year-old all-time great doing his thing, bringing an arena on its feet. And by the time you catch your breath, the Spurs are extending their lead to 12 points at halftime like it never happened. Yeah. The young Spurs without Victor. That sums up kind of what this team has been about during this stretch as much as anything. That they kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, okay, we'll just come right at you, old guys.
Yeah.
And they make Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper and De'Aaron Fox sure made that all-star backcourt of the Lakers look old in that game.
Yeah. And then in the fourth quarter, the Lakers make the expected run. The Spurs weathered that.
Yeah. It's good stuff. They could turn around and fall to the Knicks in this. We're recording this in the morning of the championship game. I'm sure a lot of you will hear it beforehand, but some of you are listening afterwards, so we're not going to focus too much on the Knicks matchup. But I think regardless of what happens in that game or what happened in that game, the Spurs are in pretty good shape here.
They are going to lose again at some point, right?
Are you saying that it's unwinnable to win the last 50 this year?
Correct. I'm saying some of the last 50 games will be unwinnable, but I won't know which ones until after.
Okay. That sounds good. What else has happened this week, Tom?
Well, the schedule's, looking ahead, like as Jeff was doing there, looking ahead, the schedule changed a bit. They've got a home and road back-to-back coming up. The Wizards on Thursday, at Atlanta on Friday. So maybe they get tripped up somewhere there. Who knows? But back to Mitch Johnson. I wrote a piece. It's in today's Express News just about, and Mike made mention of this. I looked at social media in that first quarter, and man, he was getting carved up. I mean, folks are
crazy.
calling.
It was obvious what they were doing.
Yeah, folks.
You ever seen
for his head? Is this guy stupid? He needs to go. And
have you ever been on the highway and there's a car kind of moving slowly in the slow lane, and there's the sign on the back of it says this car can't go over 65. There's a regulator on it, or it's a company car and
student drivers.
Or no, not even a student driver. No, I'm talking about the vehicle is physically incapable of going over 65 miles an hour.
Got it. It's like my Toyota Corolla, 2004 Toyota Corolla.
Right. There's a sign on it that says this vehicle cannot go faster than 65. If you would drive behind that car and honk at the driver who does not control this, that is the equivalent of yelling at Mitch Johnson over minutes restriction, because it's not. Mitch Johnson is not in charge of this, people. It's not the coach's decision. We've talked about this over and over and over again. And to have people yell at Mitch Johnson when this is not, if he wanted to play Victor 40 minutes, he couldn't. It's not his job anymore. Maybe it was Greg Popovich's choice in 2001 or 1999. Before all these medical people got involved and before every game plan became approved from the top of the organization down. But it's not Mitch Johnson choosing to not play Victor Wembanyama more, or even before the way the minutes were used against the Thunder, it was not his choice not to have Victor play for 4 weeks. Like, that was not Mitch Johnson's choice at all. It's above his pay grade.
And pregame he was asked, how good are you at managing minute restrictions? And his answer was, I follow orders.
Yes, correct. So that's the thing. And I understand he's sort of the face of it, and that when fans are frustrated, they want somebody to blame, but it's not him. That's not in his control. What is in his control, and maybe this was some of the frustration, is that Mitch had a lot to do with formulating that plan of how to use those 20 minutes and to save him for the first quarter, and that turned out to be pretty smart. But it's not like it was Mitch's choice to say, instead of playing you 32 tonight, we're going to play you 20. No, he knew he had 20 to use, and he figured out how to use those. And I'm not always saying defer to the coach, and the coach is always right, but some of this anger is displaced, I think.
What I'm taking from this discussion is that fans on social media are pretty ignorant. Not the ones that listen to this podcast. Obviously, you're very well informed if you're listening to us. But people out there
sitting at home back in South Texas, trying to light matches and get us in trouble. This whole podcast, trying to talk about Chet and Wemby. It's like you're back doing your own rehab. You're also on the mend. We don't need to get into details, but and thinking that you don't have to answer for it. Just lighting the match and walking away. That's something else, man.
Oh, I'm here for all the smoke. I'm not walking away.
We're not talking bad about people on social media. We're not talking bad about fans.
Well, I am.
We're just talking about the ignorant ones who would never listen to the Spurs Insider podcast.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That is absolutely correct.
But you shouldn't make broad generalizations about people on social media. Lots of different people are on social media. And lots of non-people are on social media.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
Yeah.
The non-people.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, what is this? Dystopia Day 6 or?
Man, it's been a long time, Tom.
Yeah.
It's been a long time in this dystopia.
How many slot machine like noises do you guys hear every day?
Zilch.
Is it just a ching? Oh yeah, you're at that Renaissance.
Don't disclose locations.
Well, he doesn't know. People don't know. They're ignorant.
Okay.
I think I know where I'm at. Not that.
It's a lot. It's a long time to be in Vegas. But it's been a fun thing for the Spurs. It's to watch the NBA Cup evolve. This will be the last year, by the way, that someone will be in Vegas this long for the NBA Cup, because next year the semifinals are moving back to home arenas, which, if that had been in place this year, that game against OKC would have been in OKC, which might have changed the wrinkles of it. But yeah. I think the cup is here to stay. People enjoy it. A lot of media attention, a lot of attention from around the country, and the Spurs are going to make the most of it.
Yeah, I think the Jackals are coming up here.
Boy,
I heard that.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Wemby and the Spurs aiming for the Jackals to be at the final.
The hype squad made the trip. I didn't see the Coyote the other night, though. Did you, Mike?
All these matches being lit on this podcast. No, I did not see the Coyote, Tom.
I didn't see
I will say this too. The atmosphere for that night game between the Spurs and Thunder ended up being pretty solid.
It was a
Spurs game. The Knicks Magic opener was a mausoleum. No one was in the arena for that.
Yeah, it was.
And as the Spurs Thunder game started, there were lots and lots and lots of empty seats, and you're thinking, why is this big game being played in a place like this? But it filled up pretty well, and it was a great atmosphere at the end. And I'm sure that Tuesday night with the hype squad and the Jackals, it'll be even better, Tom.
Well, you guys are holding up though. I'm kind of picturing like Hangover 4 with all you idiots in Vegas for 6 days.
Not quite that. But we're looking. We're looking.
I've been following along on the group chat. It sounds like you guys are having a nice time.
Well,
I think
I've been kind of quiet. Mike's tearing it up, not me.
That's what I heard.
nobody believes any of this stuff. We're gonna get out of here before Jeff lights 3 more matches, and we're gonna all have a great rest of the week. We're gonna see everybody next time. Maybe talking about the Spurs NBA Cup championship. Maybe not. But until then, take care of each other and keep it real.